Good evening and welcome to another edition of Tigers Roar right here on Pelican Sports TV. I am Tommy Krysan. Appreciate you being tuned in. Baton Rouge, Lafayette, New Orleans, on the internet at PelicanSportsTV.com. Got a jam-packed show for you with all kind of LSU stuff, a few other things for you live on this Wednesday night. Tigers Roar. We got several comments in the last couple of weeks. Will this show continue when football season stops? Yes, it is. It's a year-round program, live each and every Wednesday night, 2 hours, 8 until 10 p.m. If you're catching this on a Thursday, Friday, or a Saturday, you got one of the rebroadcasts. We appreciate you watching that. And as always, we ask you to spread the roar about this program. Plenty of LSU football for you tonight. Lots of different things to discuss. Basketball, baseball, track and field, soccer, a little bit of everything, including softball. Pelican Sports TV crew on hand on the LSU campus covering Softball Media Day. First-year coach Beth Torina will get the Lady Tigers softball team going. Actually, this week, they got ball games this coming weekend. My co-host tonight, you've seen him many, many times on Pelican Sports TV with some of the different features he's done and some roles now as a co-host on the program, Carter Bryant. Carter, good evening. How are you?
Hey, I'm sensational. We're going to have some great challenges coming up. I actually had a LSU baseball pitcher, Kurt McCune, come up to me last night and said, I have no chance at hitting this fastball. So hopefully,
well, you probably don't.
Yeah, but
I'm going to agree with Kurt.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, and I probably will too, but never count out the little guy in the fight.
You'd have trouble hitting my fastball.
Yeah, you're probably right.
My fastball's old and slow.
Oh, well.
But, you know, they used to have a saying about my fastball, reminded people of a TV program. You know which one that was?
What was that?
60 Minutes, because that's how long it took to get to the plate. See, you're too young to hear all them old baseball things, huh?
Well, that was back then when all y'all do was eat hot dogs on the sideline, like Mr. Ruth back then. That's probably who you pitched against back then.
No, I didn't pitch against Babe Ruth, not quite. Anyway, Carter Bryant, glad to have you here. For those people that have seen you a little bit on Pelican Sports TV, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and being an LSU student and a huge sports enthusiast.
Well, I've always been a fan of sports. I've always gotten to get to know the LSU athletes this year, and it's been fantastic covering LSU sports. Past 4 years, I'm a senior at LSU. Grew up in Arkansas, but I'm not a Hog. That's the one thing people always try and associate with me. I've never called the Hogs. I still think that's the worst chant, and thank goodness LSU was able to take care of them this past weekend, and the Hogs right now actually getting handled on the road as we speak. But I'm a young journalist, try my best. I've served some time working radio in Washington, D.C., New York City. But it's good to be back here in Baton Rouge where the weather outside is warm. That's the way I like it.
All right, I have a question for you. I have to ask this to everyone who's from the state of Arkansas.
No, I don't want to marry my cousin.
No, I wasn't going there, you see. But that could have been question 4 or 5. But have you ever wore one of them plastic razorback pig things on your head?
Well, I actually have because I lost a bet. And
okay.
That was
well, that's fair. If you lost a bet, I can go with it.
That was actually the Miracle on Markham. That actually was the reason why I had to wear that hog head. It was a horrendous day for me, especially at my high school. Good old El Dorado. I cheer on the Wildcats, but wearing that hog head, disappointing. It really tore me up inside. Not going to lie about that.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Anytime you talk to somebody from Arkansas, there are certain questions you got to get out of the way in a hurry. Yeah. Just like I'm sure Arkansas people think there's questions about Louisiana that you have to get out of the way in a hurry. Anyway, we're going to have a lot of good stuff for you tonight. We do know that LSU basketball is playing Vanderbilt as we speak, probably tipping off literally right now, just a couple minutes after 8 o'clock Louisiana time on a Wednesday night. Tough task against Vanderbilt. We'll keep you posted on the score as we go through the program tonight. But tonight's matchup against Vanderbilt will be tough, especially in Nashville. After that, LSU's got some winnable games on the schedule, both home and away. They're at the halfway mark of the SEC basketball schedule, 3-5 through the first 8 games. I saw the game against Kentucky a week and a half ago. I saw the game against Arkansas. I was in the Pete Maravich Assembly Center last Saturday when they won. The last 15 minutes of the first half last Saturday is the best basketball they've played all year long.
Exactly.
And without question. And, and Arkansas has been having trouble on the road. They're having trouble on the road again tonight. But still, the thing about it was Arkansas had beat LSU a couple of weeks before up in Fayetteville, so LSU turned the table and got the win. It was a nice one. 3 wins was the SEC total in wins last season under Trent Johnson. Everybody, including Trent Johnson, wants more wins this year. Looks like they'll get there. Don't know about tonight against Vanderbilt, although if they could spring the upset, that'd be great news.
Yeah, and you speak of Trent Johnson. We'll get to here in a second. He's under a lot of heat this week for what a certain recruit said about him. We'll get to that here in a second. I think the matchups tonight for LSU is going to be really tough. They're going up against who I believe is the second best post defender in the SEC next to Anthony Davis for Kentucky, Azili, unbelievable athlete there. You also have the matchup against Taylor and Kevin Strong's. Always a well-coached team at home. LSU has their hands full tonight, starting this back half stretch of the season.
And we got a bunch of basketball stuff for you tonight, and we will talk about the stuff that was in the Advocate newspaper pertaining to Ricardo Gathers from Riverside Academy. We'll get into all that. Very uncomfortable to read that. Do want to tell you about a couple of things going on with Pelican Sports TV, Pelican Sports Radio. Pelican Sports Radio is heard Monday through Fridays from 3 until 4 p.m. on KKAY 1590 AM. It's been our home for many weeks now, and we need you to spread the word. Still have people coming up to us, hey, TK, where are y'all at on the air? It's KKAY 1590 AM. There is a free app for your smartphone. Tune in. You see it on your screen there. That's the little logo for it. It's free, 30, 45 seconds. You download it, and then you're good to go listening to the Pelican Sports Radio. It's also streaming on the internet at KKAY1590.com and at globalradio.kkay.com. And do want to mention beginning this Friday, we're going to have the man sitting to my left, Carter Bryant, will begin co-hosting Pelican Sports Radio on Tuesdays and Fridays at this point in time. And we're looking forward to that, Carter, and I know you're excited about it as well.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I'm very fortunate to have a lot of radio experience working at the KLSU student affiliate at LSU for 4 years now, and also working at SiriusXM Satellite Radio for a while. So, I mean, it's an honor to come on this program and share some time with you, a little bit more talking LSU sports, because even though we have this 2-hour period, that's not even enough that we can fit in talking about one of the best college athletics programs in the country.
And we at Pelican Sports Radio, Pelican Broadcasting, looking forward to everything you're going to bring to the table, as you have done for a long time here on Tigers Roar TV. Now we'll fold in the radio thing, and it'll be a lot of fun, and we know you're going to make great contributions, and we encourage the folks to make note that we want you to listen Monday through Friday, but Carter will join us starting this Friday on Fridays and Tuesdays at this point in our daily schedule. Do remind you, KKAY 1590 AM has got basically a full day of sports programming for you to get it going in the morning from 7 to 9 a.m. with Jordy Hultberg. The Jordy Hultberg Show, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. 9 to 11, it's Chad Bluen, and then from 1 to 3, Buddy Sanji, keeping it spicy for you. Buddy's got the longest tenure of being on sports radio in Baton Rouge, and he has led into my program for several years now, and it's no problem there. Buddy and I, good friends. We talk off the air a lot. Got to get back on the golf course with him. That hadn't happened lately, but we'll do it again. Buddy Sanji, 1 to 3. 1590 AM, and then, of course, Pelican Sports Radio from 3 until 4 p.m. KKAY 1590 AM, we ask you to please spread the word to your coworkers, your family members, your neighbors. You go out to the Little League ballparks or Little League games, go to some high school activities, let people know. All-day sports covering Baton Rouge, covering South Louisiana, KKAY 1590 AM on your dial. Also, you can keep up with all the activities of Pelican Sports Radio and Pelican Sports TV by going to our Facebook page. The Facebook page is Pelican Broadcasting. And again, great way to keep up with it. You can communicate with us there. Our YouTube page, youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting, has a lot of Carter's work on it, some other things that we have done around South Louisiana. You can keep up with it there as well. The Twitter account is @Pelican Sports, and it's a great way to keep up with us and communicate with us. And as always, if you don't have the Facebook thing going, our email address is pelicanbroadcasting@gmail.com. Any type of question, comment, programming note, whatever it may be, pelicanbroadcasting@gmail.com. Of course, Pelican Sports TV, known for the hunting, the fishing, the outdoors programming, coming up on almost 10 years on the air now here in South Louisiana, and reaching into Lafayette and New Orleans, not the whole 10 years, but as the Pelican has grown. You saw it grow with the Pelican Radio about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago. So lots of good stuff happening here. We appreciate all the support and comments that we do get on Facebook, through the email. We do answer every single thing. When we come back, we got some LSU football stuff for you. Plenty of stuff, actually, to go over. With Carter Bryant, I'm Tommy Chrysant. This is Tigers Roar on Pelican Sports TV, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and New Orleans. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Troy Landry. You're watching Pelican Sport TV. I'm fixing to shoot him. Shoot him.
Hey, you expecting a refund and want a new car? Come to North American Automotive Group on Airline. We make it easy. Bring your W-2, file your taxes, use it towards your down payment, and drive home today. North American Auto on Airline.
I'm attorney Kerry Bryson. An IRS problem is a serious legal matter. The IRS has thousands of agents trained to understand it all. So don't trust an out-of-town salesperson. Come meet with us in person at our office right here in Baton Rouge. Your first visit will be free and confidential. If you're a Louisiana resident and have an IRS problem, hire a Louisiana attorney. Hire me, Kerry Bryson.
Key attributes that really puts Papa John's Pizza over the top is our meats. Nobody does what Papa John's does.
For just $11, get our new double-layered premium pepperoni pizza, loaded with a layer of our signature pepperoni, plus a layer of oversized deli-style pepperoni. Just $11 for a large. Plus, get double points all weekend long and earn free pizza fast with Papa Rewards, only at papajohns.com. Sign up now.
Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's.
Hello, my name is Debbie. Welcome to Debbie's Bridal, a formal affair.
Come see the many great lines we carry in bridal, bridesmaids, mothers, flower girls, tuxes, and more. We also carry over 25 top designer lines in debutante gowns, Mardi Gras, pageant, and prom. Come meet me and my staff with over 30 years of bridal and pageant experience. Debbie's Bridal, a formal affair, Burnside and Gonzales, where service matters.
We continue with Tigers Roar here on Pelican Sports TV. Again, glad to have you tuned in. We're live each and every Wednesday night. We do remind you that we have a rebroadcast of this program on Fridays that reaches some parts of the state that the Pelican doesn't reach. WHNO TV Channel 20 out in New Orleans, great friends of ours. We partner with them on many projects. They air this program from 5 until 7 p.m. on Fridays, and that covers the entire North Shore area, Ponchatoula, Hammond, Amite, Kentwood, Covington, Mandeville, Bogalusa, Franklinton, Slidell, Pearl River, Lacombe, all of that gets covered. Thibodaux, Homer, the whole Bayou Country, Lafourche Parish, Terrebonne Parish, and then over into the Mississippi Gulf Coast on Fridays from 5 to 7 with our good friends at WHNO TV, Channel 20 out in New Orleans. Also let you know, a little too late tonight, but every Wednesday right before this program at 7 p.m., it's Sports NOLA TV, hosted by Ken Trahan, broadcaster extraordinaire from New Orleans. Ken, good friend of mine, good friend of Pelicans. He has also former New Orleans Saints wide receiver Torrance Small, award-winning writer Brian Alley Walsh. They do Sports NOLA TV on Mondays every week in New Orleans. Well, we catch that program, and we put it on the Pelican for you Wednesday nights at 7, leading you into Tigers Roar. As we mentioned, LSU playing Vanderbilt in Nashville as we speak right now. And we do want to talk about a LSU Vanderbilt Dale Brown story I got to let you know about later, Carter. You're too young to know it, but I'll tell you about it. We will get to some basketball. We will get to the Ricardo Gathers thing, but this program designed primarily to talk about football as well as all LSU athletics. And then, of course, being the fact that we're in Lafayette, we do like to talk about ULL, which we have some stuff on them for you tonight. Tulane University, University of New Orleans down in the Crescent City. We do spread it out a little bit, but primarily LSU football. So let's get right into some LSU football topics. As we know, Billy Gonzalez left the program, the wide receivers coach, spent 2 years in Baton Rouge. He's now in Illinois. Good luck, Billy. And Les Miles has hired Adam Henry, who had been on the coaching staff of the Oakland Raiders. He's a Beaumont, Texas native who played ball collegiately at McNeese State. Spent a little bit of time in the NFL, including on the Saints practice squad at one point. Then coached at McNeese State for 10 years, did some recruiting, and then had been on the Oakland Raiders staff the last 5 seasons. And he comes in with an impressive resume, and he will join the LSU staff. Now, a week ago, Monday, we had word that he was going to get hired, and then all of a sudden there was a little delay before LSU officially announced anything. What happened was the Baltimore Ravens came into the picture at the last minute, threw a bunch of money at Adam Henry, trying to get him to go to their team and be a coach, an assistant coach, certainly not the head coach. and then there was a little discussion, so that was a little bit of a delay. But Les Miles likes to get all of the coaches on campus into Baton Rouge before he hires him. Well, once they got all of that taken care of, then Adam Henry chose not to go with the Baltimore Ravens. He decided to hook up and sign with LSU, and I think on paper this is an excellent addition to the staff by Coach Miles.
Yeah, you look at Coach Henry, you saw what he did at Oakland. You go to the development of Zach Miller as a tight end. He came in as a guy that was going to just be a solid producer. Well, it turned out Zach Miller, when he was with Jamarcus Russell, actually led that team in receptions. So you see what he comes here. He comes as a wide receiver coach now at LSU, and LSU has a vast history of hiring former NFL personalities to come and coach there. This should help with recruiting. This should get some more wide receivers to come in and say, hey, he can get me to the next level. Let's see how he makes that transition from coaching tight ends to a completely different position, such as wide receiver.
Well, and here's why I see it positive. We all know it's about recruiting. It's all about players. And Adam Henry, I'm going to make some assumptions here, but I'm going to think that they're pretty much correct. The fact that he's from Beaumont, Texas area, so obviously he's got a lot of ties in that area, which is a fertile ground for prep football. He spent years at McNeese as a player. Then after a cup of coffee in the NFL, 10 years coaching at McNeese, and I know he probably recruited the Beaumont area as well as Southwest Louisiana. So he's probably got a lot of ties. A lot of coaches, prep coaches, know who Adam Henry is. Well, now he'll be out there barking for LSU, and certainly, there's no question in my mind that Les Miles, when he considers hiring any coach to his staff, recruiting and what that guy can bring to the table in regard to recruiting is always very important. So that tells me I can do 2 and 2 and make it 4 here. Les Miles thinks Adam Henry can help a lot with recruiting.
And players like to be coached and mentored by former players. And it's not just coaching. I mean, you go to Ken Ellis, who's the team chaplain, former Green Bay Packer Hall of Famer. LSU likes to put a lot of different former NFL type of backgrounds in their system, and that really relates with the players, especially if that NFL background coach comes into your system, if he's a former player as well. Players feel that they can get to the next level by people who have been there before, and that should help out the LSU program.
So that's good news for LSU, for the coaching staff. More good news came out today for LSU in the form of the fact that offensive lineman Josh Dworsik was granted a 6th year on his calendar clock to play your 4 years of eligibility. Typically, student athletes have 5 years from the day of enrollment, 5-year clock to complete 4 years of eligibility. He was injured prior to the season last year, missed the entire season, started 26 games for LSU in the 09 and 10 seasons, has played in 38 games. This past season when he couldn't play, he spent time as a student coach, so he was very involved in the day-to-day deal in the football. So it is absolutely good news that you get a guy like Josh Dworsik with 38 games of experience and 26 starts to be able to play football for LSU this fall. I mean, that's almost like signing a 5-star, 6-star recruit, because you know what this guy can do. He's already proven it. I'm sure he'll bounce back from the injury situation and be ready to go next year. This was great news for the LSU football team.
And not to try and get too technical, me being a former Lion, Josh is a guy that is really technically sound. And what a lot of people forget is when Coach Stud became the offensive coordinator, Greg Stewara went up to the booth. So that means that there is no offensive line coach. Greg's the former offensive line coach. So Josh stepped into that role of being the sideline offensive line coach. So when the players would go to the bench, it would be Josh coaching his teammates, so to speak, instead of Coach Stud, because Coach Stud is worried about calling the plays. You look at what Josh has done throughout his career, a really cerebral player. He started off as a tight end, a blocking tight end. Then he told me his sophomore year that, Carter, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get on the field and help his team. He got a little bit bulkier while keeping that speed. He pulls well, has great footwork. He does get bull rushed a little bit from time to time, but that's just because he has a more slender frame. Coming back this year, expect more bulk from him and knocking people off the football.
Well, and as you mentioned, he's a very smart player. He's been on the All-SEC academic honor roll for a couple of years as well. So anytime you can put all of those snaps, all of that experience, combine it with football intelligence to go along with the school intelligence, again, it's a huge plus for LSU's offensive line in the 2012 season. You can't trade that experience for anything. Another big positive note and good news for LSU, Mo Claiborne received the Jim Thorpe Award. Got it from Patrick Peterson, who had won it the year before. Mo Claiborne had a spectacular career and season at LSU. All the awards that he's got, from everything from All-American to All-SEC. There you see Mo Claiborne with Patrick Peterson on our left as we look at it. And truly a deserving award. This guy stood out every time he lined up.
Yeah, and when he won the reward towards the end of last year, for him to finally get the trophy and take that wonderful picture right there of Patrick Peterson, it's great to see. I mean, I've gotten to know both those guys over the past few years, and they really have learned so much off of each other. They're both going to have very lucrative and very productive NFL careers, and they really do embody what the LSU program is about. Guys that can go out, play man coverage, play that NFL style of physical play. And you look at what Morris Claiborne's going to do at the next level. This guy's going to be a top 5 pick. Can't wait to see what he does if he gets drafted by the Vikings or anyone in that top 5 range.
Well, and the other thing that Claiborne can do, as LSU fans saw against West Virginia, he can be effective in the return game. He had the kickoff return at a key point in the game on the road against West Virginia. Didn't get a whole lot of other opportunities for kickoff returns, but that's something that I know the NFL people have made note of, and it just enhances his value to a team.
And you look at what defensive backs can do. You see in the highlights right now. Look at that jam right there. Can't get off the football, and then he makes a play on the football, gets everything out of the way. Look at how physical he is at the line of scrimmage. You see him right here make a great tackle right there. Keeps great outside leverage. Keeps that outside shoulder free. And most importantly, look at this kickoff return. Sets his blocks up beautifully. And then you always want to expect your kick return to make that one guy miss. And he did it right there at the kicker. And then, boom, it's speed after that. That's NFL-level speed right there, folks. You can't teach it. He wasn't recruited that heavily, and look where he is now, a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. This guy has a personality. He has a moxie. And right here, he shows you he has a nose for the end zone. And then the NFL, if you can get a pick 6, that means a lot for your team.
Yeah, no question about that. Well, when we come back, we're going to talk, keep it kind of going in the NFL. 8 LSU Tigers have been invited to the NFL Combine, which will take place in Indianapolis February 22nd through the 28th. We'll tell you about those 8 players, as well as 4 other Louisiana guys who will attend the NFL Combine, the annual event where, I mean, it's everything from interviews to skills, training, weightlifting, athletic ability. They really run them through a mill up there in the Combine. We'll talk about that, as well as I said, the 8 LSU players. A couple of names off that list that we'll talk about that as well. And then 4 other guys from the state of Louisiana, including 2 from ULL, that will be at the NFL Combine. With Carter Bryant, I'm Tommy Christ, and we've got more for you. Stay with us. Spread the roar. This is Tigers Roar on Pelican Sports TV, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and New Orleans.
Friday, February 24th, coming to the Texas Club in Baton Rouge, Sticks. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster and the Texas Club box office.
Explore the charms of the North Shore and visit St. Tammany Parish. Whether you're looking for a cultural experience or an adventure, you'll find it here. Enjoy great attractions and fantastic dining in a relaxed and friendly atmosphere.
Come visit us and discover the history and heritage that is Louisiana's North Shore.
For more information, log on to louisiananorthshore.com/bb.
BetterBatonRougeJobs.com has been extremely beneficial for the TM Automotive Group. And what stands out to us, it's easy to use, not only for us, but it's easy for the applicants. And it's the quality of applicants that we get. It's timely. We post something in the morning. By that afternoon, we have double-digit applicants. And again, it's the quality of the applicants.
Employers, now is a great time to hire, recruit, and look for potential new employees.
BetterBatonRougeJobs.com. It's free for job seekers and great for business.
For the thirsty, for those who hang out in packs, for heroes, for sidekicks, for those who see the glass half empty, for those who see it half full, for those on the right, for those on the left, for those with nicknames, for those with curves, for people that cycle, for people that recycle, for BFFs, for frenemies, for those with style, for lovers, for families, for big families, for everyone.
40 years, 4 decades, nearly half a century. That's how long the citizens of Greater Baton Rouge have chosen Richards Honda. A simple, sincere, and honest process.
Louisiana's oldest and most experienced Honda dealership for over 40 years, Richards Honda.
We continue with Tigers Roar TV, and we want to remind you, starting this Friday on Pelican Sports Radio, KKAY 1590 AM. It's heard Monday through Fridays from 3 until 4 p.m. Carter Bryant joins me as a co-host. He'll do it every Friday and Tuesday, beginning this Friday, February the 10th. So looking forward to that, taking your phone calls. You can be ready to mix it up. You know I like to mix it up on the radio.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait. And we're about to talk the NFL Combine. The big story of the day is that Jerry Lee wasn't invited. He actually went out to his private quarterback coach out there in California. He's worked with Cam Newton, worked with Ben Roethlisberger. He believes Jerry Lee can be an NFL quarterback.
All right, so the NFL Combine, that's the topic we want to get into. 8 LSU Tigers have been invited, just over 300 players. You must be invited to this Combine. The public is not allowed. Media can get in on approved credentials. And, of course, a ton of NFL front office people, coaches, assistant coaches, talent evaluators will be present, watching every step, listening to every word that all 300-plus guys are going through. Now, they're not all there all the time. They run them through by position. Some of them won't even see, some of these LSU teammates won't even see each other up there because they'll be there at different times. It's a well-organized thing. They roll them in, roll them out, and the NFL guys are gathering information and further developing their evaluation. Now, there were 53 players from the Southeastern Conference among the 300-plus, the most of any conference. That shouldn't be a surprise.
Yeah, 53 is actually the amount of an NFL roster right there. That should tell you the amount of athletic talent that's in the conference. Can't wait to see how each one of these guys are evaluated when they take this next step.
Alabama did have 9 people invited. Thought we'd mention that out. I don't have a breakdown of the rest of the SEC teams. You can go to NFLCombine.net and see the official invite list if you choose to. Let's get into the LSU players who were invited to the Combine. And we'll start off, we're going to kind of go in numerical order here, if you will. We're going to start off with wide receiver Rueben Randle. Carter, I want your evaluation of Rueben Randle and his prospects at the next level.
I mean, of course, if you just look at this film right here, I mean, Ruben's a guy that's at the next level already as a wide receiver. He played in a passing offense that wasn't the best, didn't play with NFL-level quarterbacks who know how to look off a safety. So a lot of the times where you saw Ruben making catches, it was in a lot of traffic. As you see right here, Jordan Jefferson stares him down from the beginning. Easy read for his zone coverage. But look, Ruben's able to break away, get some YAC, which stands for yards after catch. Also, Rueben Randle on his fly routes this year were able to defeat cover 3, which means that at the beginning, the corner's already going backwards, already bailing out of the play. You see right here, this was actually cover 3 played by Auburn, and he was still able to break it. That means that he has more speed and more athleticism than the corner in front of him. And look at these broken tackles against Florida. That is special skill. That means he's ready to take that next step. Once again, that's cover 3 right there again. Great play there by Rueben Randle. Scores. He'll get you 6. Great overall player.
Yeah, so Rueben Randle, who, again, probably didn't live up totally to his expectations and the billing when he came in. However, as you accurately pointed out, Carter, he did not have NFL-type quarterback throwing in the ball, the skill sets that go along with that. Yeah, they threw him some good passes. He dropped a few in his career. All receivers drop balls, as Welker, the Patriots, in the Super Bowl. It does happen, okay? But I think Rueben Randle will clearly be on an NFL roster, and he's the kind of guy who can, fit into the right system and be effective at the NFL level. The next LSU player to be invited, quite frankly, surprised the heck out of me. Jordan Jefferson, the Destrehan product, has been invited to the Combine.
I don't know how. I mean, it's sad when you go back and actually watch his tape. And, Tommy, you speak to a lot of LSU fans. You always hear them say, well, he doesn't look off a safety. He doesn't know how to get off his first read. when you actually go back and watch the film, it's painful how correct these armchair quarterbacks across Louisiana are about this guy. I mean, you just got to wonder if he has a cerebral capacity to play at the next level. And you go back and watch his film against Alabama, really deliberate with his actions, very easily able to read what he's about to do. He's a very athletic type. He can run the option, but he's not really an option quarterback. Does Jordan Jefferson, can he work hard? Can he make that next step at the NFL level? No, he can't. Sorry. I know he's a Deschutes native. I know he was arguably could have been the all-time winningest quarterback at LSU if he wins 11 games this year. He wasn't able to do it because he decided to allegedly kick someone in the face. So discipline issues are there as well.
Well, Jordan Jefferson is athletic. There's no question about that. He's got a little bit of foot speed. He's a big guy. NFL likes big quarterbacks. His arm, average at best. He doesn't have a weak arm, but it's nothing to write home about. And again, I think the mental part of the game, the reads, the progressions, the understanding an NFL playbook, which is significantly more complicated than a college playbook, and then the simple matter of reading defenses, pre-snap, after snap. I mean, they always say it ain't brain surgery. Well, that is. I mean, and then you have to be able to adjust quickly. Jefferson never did show demonstrate an ability to adjust quickly to things. Yes, he laid an egg against Alabama. I'm sure he feels bad about it. He just could not get the job done that night. But good news for Jordan Jefferson. He was invited to a combine. I would think he's rated near the bottom of everybody's list, but maybe he can do something at the combine, in the interviews, in the skill and drills, in the weightlifting, and all the other things they're going to put him through to maybe get the attention of a team. Again, I think he'd be I don't think he can make it in the NFL.
Oh, he can't.
I mean, is he a work in progress, or maybe he's on somebody's practice squad and they see if he can develop? But then I would question his commitment and his work ethic, too, which was never strong at LSU.
Yeah, and I hate to label someone as not a hard worker. I hate to label somebody that doesn't watch film, the ability to look off safeties. I think it's especially tough for us because we're not former quarterbacks. I think quarterback is by far the most difficult position in football, which also makes it the most difficult position to evaluate unless you are a former quarterback. With that said, you look at all these highlights here with Jordan Jefferson. None of these are really NFL-level plays. He's not looking off safeties. These are all by design because of his success off of design plays. I don't know if he's able to improvise and make the kind of plays he was able to make when the play broke down at the NFL level, even at that. So that's going to be tough for him to evaluate. This was actually a really good throw right here by him, rolling out, finding the soft spot in the zone. But then again, that's Ruben Randall, who's a very smart receiver who understands how to do that.
Next up on the invitee list from LSU, defensive back Ron Brooks. Here's a guy who, when called upon, answered the bell. Had some big plays, in particular against Ole Miss. I mean, I think Ron Brooks could surprise some people and really play for a while in the NFL. This guy's got determination. He's got heart. And he can flat out play the game of football.
And I know this gets thrown around there a lot, but a lot of the defensive backs told me this. Nobody plays with the kind of energy and exuberance that Ron Brooks plays with. I think he can make it at the next level. A lot of people are like, well, he was a nickel and a dime back in the Mustang nickel packages for LSU this year. Well, I spoke to an NFL scout earlier this year and said, look at the past, Tommy, of the great defensive backs that are in the NFL right now for LSU. Ryan Clark wasn't a superstar at LSU. You go to Randall Gage, won two Super Bowls. He didn't start until his junior year. Wasn't a superstar at LSU. Ron Brooks is a talented guy that had to play behind talented defensive backs his whole career. He's a great special teamer. He was part of that legendary punt team for LSU this year that before Alabama only gave up 8 yards. Unbelievable guy. I think he can make it at the next level.
And like when we mentioned Mo Claiborne returning kickoffs, the fact that Ron Brooks can contribute on special teams, that enhances his value to an NFL team because he can run down on punt coverage, he can run down on kickoff unit as well.
And he can time his blitzes to perfection. If you have one of those type of guys that can do all those different things at defensive back, play a nickel and play some corner if necessary, he can make it at the next level. And it doesn't look like it. He looks smaller, but goodness, that guy's an athlete. He's one of the best in the weight room for LSU, and his work ethic really second to none.
And I would not be surprised, as I mentioned, to see Ryan Brooks stick in the NFL for a while. Next guy we want to talk about who was invited to the NFL Combine, we've talked about him a bunch tonight when we talked about him winning the Jim Thorpe Award, but Mo Claiborne. He could be among the top 5 picks in the draft in the first round. If he's not in the top 5, certainly 6 or 7, he'll be gone, barring any crazy trade scenario that happens with all the teams and everybody starts tumbling. But Mo Claiborne is going to play for a long time in the NFL.
Behind Andrew Luck on my personal big board. I'm not Mike Mayock. I'm not Mel Kiper Jr., but on my personal big board.
No, you're Carter Bryant.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go with Morris Claiborne as the second best player in this draft. And the reason why I say that is because, look, he has the ability to tackle. He has the ability to run with receivers on fly routes. Look at what he does here. Breaks down. Look at that tackle, able to push him out of bounds. Reads plays really quickly. Now look at what he does right there. Physical jam out of bounds. Unbelievable player. Look at how he locates the football. Look how on these fly routes, he's a former basketball player. You notice how he sort of boxes out the receivers. Does a great job locating the receiver, and this right here is just amazing, folks. 99.9% of defensive backs would fall down after making that interception. Instead, he not only stays step for step with the receiver, he runs the route better than the receiver, catches it, and almost scores on the other end. And then once again, you also see his great ability to make plays in the open field right here. Overall, great player. That guy has that kind of swagger, that kind of moxie you want from defensive backs, because in order to play against these big mouth diva receivers, it's sort of important that your defensive back has that little cocky arrogance about him, which is borderline hubris. I think Morris Claiborne at the next level is going to be a superstar.
And in the NFL, in the last 3 or 4 years, you've seen that graduation to bigger cornerbacks in the league. Before, your guys were known for their speed and their ability to turn their hips, run with a receiver. Now, like a Patrick Peterson, like a Mo Claiborne, and many, many others in the NFL now, those bigger guys playing corner now has kind of become niche in the NFL the last 3 or 4 years, and Mo Claiborne fits the bill perfectly.
I cannot wait to see him play at the next level. And actually, Patrick Peterson, one thing about his great ability to return kicks this year, returned 4 for touchdowns, all-pro returner over Devin Hester, who actually broke the awards for returns all-time in the NFL. Morris Claiborne, I think, is going to make a more seamless transition to actually defending wide receivers at the next level. Can't wait to see what he does.
When we come back, we're going to talk about 4 more LSU players who will be attending the NFL Combine, as well as 4 other guys from the state of Louisiana that we want to tip our hat to. We'll have all of that for you and more. Plenty to come here on Tigers Roar. Carter Bryant, Tommy Chrysan, Pelican Sports TV, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and New Orleans, and on the internet at PelicanSportsTV.com.
Hey, where you can expect to be pre-approved online? At brcarcredit.com. Need to reestablish? brcarcredit.com. Bankruptcies, divorce, we can help. Shop us online. Once again, brcarcredit.com.
You're on the same flight.
We'll be on the same plane,
Yeah,
regardless.
when we need to work. Anything together? Do we know that?
Got it.
Thanks, Dave.
The big, brilliant, thin Samsung Infuse 4G. Only from the network of possibilities. AT&T.
Key attributes that really puts Papa John's pizza over the top is our meats. Nobody does what Papa John's does.
For just $11, get our new double-layered premium pepperoni pizza, loaded with a layer of our signature pepperoni, plus a layer of oversized deli-style pepperoni. Just $11 for a large. Plus, get double points all weekend long and earn free pizza fast with Papa Rewards, only at papajohns.com. Sign up now.
Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's.
Attention, all companies dealing with cash flow problems. Companies are going out of business every day. Bankruptcies are at an all-time high. Accounts receivable delinquencies are at the highest levels in decades. Let us help your business collect money owed to your business. NRH and Associates has the solutions. Let NRH and Associates utilize their innovative collection methods to get cash flow back into your business. Call 601-889-0501. That number again, 601-889-0501.
Hey, where you can expect to be pre-approved online? At brcarcredit.com. Need to reestablish? brcarcredit.com. Bankruptcies, divorce, we can help. Shop us online. Once again, brcarcredit.com.
We continue with Tigers Roar. The LSU Tigers of Coach Trent Johnson battling Vanderbilt as we speak, trailing 23-22 late first half. Good news, one, that it's a low-scoring game for LSU, and two, they're hanging in there, and Vanderbilt knows they're in a game.
LSU playing a lot of guys in this game, and they're scrapping and clawing, hanging tough right there. Let's see what they can do in the second half.
And we'll update you on that again. We're here till 10 o'clock every Wednesday night live and 8 until 10 p.m. Spread the roar about Tigers Roar. Back to the football topic. We will get to Trent Johnson, Ricardo Gathers, et al. A little bit later. But four more LSU players. We mentioned Reuben Randall, Jordan Jefferson, Ryan Brooks, and Mo Claiborne. The next four players from LSU that will be attending the Combine. First up, Brandon Taylor, a guy who shined when he had to, was steady and consistent, was not sparkling at times, but got the job done. He was part of a very talented secondary. Probably helped him, the fact that there was so much talent around him. But Brandon Taylor was a consistent player for LSU.
Brandon Taylor, there was a lot of games where he actually outshined the rest of the secondary. One of those is Tennessee, where he led the team in tackles. I love Brandon Taylor. He's actually my favorite player to interview, and it meant a lot the last interview session I ever had with him. He told me I was his favorite interviewer.
Cool.
So it was cool getting to know him over the past couple of years. He had that injury, of course, a couple of years ago in Alabama, and he's battled back since then. I think going to the Senior Bowl and watching him play, Eric Reed played a lot of the single deep safety, as in the deepest man on the field. It was a different role for Brandon Taylor when he had to play that role when he went to the Senior Bowl, caught an interception, played that single deep safety at a high level in the game, improved his ability in coverage towards the back end of the year. Brandon Taylor also has a great nose for the football, but most importantly, Tommy Chrysan, he can tackle in the open field. And defensive backs at the next level, you have to be able to do that. And you look at the playoffs this year, what was the biggest problem for the Green Bay Packers?
Couldn't get anybody on the ground.
Yeah, couldn't get him down. So Brandon Taylor, he might be smaller, but he's physical, and he could bring you down.
Yeah, again, his NFL chances, I think he's got a chance to stick. He might be one of them guys bounces around a little bit till he gets in the right system with the right team, or he may be one of them guys who, if all of a sudden there's an injury or two on a depth chart ahead of him and somebody all of a sudden needs to bring him up. I mean, he's not a surefire thing, but I think Brandon Taylor will have a chance at the next level.
I think one team to look out for, the Pittsburgh Steelers. You have Ryan Clark, who's very involved with the LSU
very similar kind of player to
very
Brian
similar
Taylor.
player as well. They need to get safety. They need to get younger at the back end. Troy Polamalu, not getting any younger. Ryan Clark, not getting any younger. Ike Taylor, not getting any younger. Dominique Foxworth, not getting any younger. All those guys have 6 or more years experience. I think Brandon Taylor fits in with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Another LSU Tiger to be invited, tight end D'Angelo Peterson. Caught a touchdown against Northwestern State in the home opener in the 2011 season. Didn't do much after that. Probably, again, the quarterbacks in the passing game, which suffered all year long in the big picture. Yes, it had its moments, but really suffered. But Peterson, okay as a blocker. Don't really know how good he is as a catcher. There's not enough there, but he's got the size. Maybe NFL tight end's a little bit bigger than what D'Angelo Peterson is. He's probably going to get caught in between. It's probably a slim chance that he makes an NFL team.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and improve you right there. He's not a good blocker, and that's something he had to improve on when he went to the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama. And that's what he told me after the game. I have to get better in the run game as a blocker. Because you talk about Jimmy Graham. Sean Payton took him a lot off the field and put in an extra offensive tackle at times because Jimmy Graham wasn't a great blocker until the back end of that year. Vernon Davis, what a speedster for San Francisco. Wasn't able to play that much until he became an elite blocker to where he could play in a three-point stance and fire off. D'Angelo Peterson has to prove he's that physical type of monster that can get in there on the defensive end and double team down and get to the next level as a blocker. Now him as a receiver, he disappeared towards the middle of the year. That's not entirely his fault because tight end play has a lot to do with your quarterback's ability to fit the ball in tight windows. Jordan Jefferson and Jarrett Lee not really spectacular at either one of those categories.
Another LSU player, linebacker Ryan Baker, will go to the Combine. He's going to have to do a lot of work when he gets there.
I'm really surprised Ryan Baker made this list. He's a guy that benefited from playing in a great secondary, even though he's a linebacker. He struggled this year towards the back end. Arkansas, graded really low. He told me he played terrible against that game. Georgia, dumb penalty, didn't have a good game in that one. And, of course, in the BCS National Championship game, got caught in a lot of traffic, allowed offensive linemen to get into his fits, couldn't shed off blocks. He's undersized. It seems like he's lost a little bit of that speed we saw in his younger years. I don't know about Ryan Baker at the next level, Tom. It's going to be an uphill battle. Can he make it into a hybrid defense where they play a lot of nickel and can play a lot of undersized linebackers? Yes, he can. So a good fit for him might be somewhere such as maybe Indianapolis, a team that plays a lot of two deep safeties. But other than that, I don't see him fitting in pretty much anywhere in this league.
I got a Ryan Baker story for you. Several years ago, he was on the kickoff team, and it was a home game in Tiger Stadium, and he delivered a crushing blow to the kick returner. I forget who it was against.
It was Appalachian State.
Was that what it was?
Yeah,
okay.
it was. I remember it was.
When he came to the sidelines, and nobody knew who Ryan Baker was then, and Les Miles pulled him over on the sidelines and said, Ryan Baker, you've got 90,000 people looking at the game day program to see who number 22 is, because he had delivered that big blow on a kickoff. You're saying it was Appalachian State?
Yeah, that was actually the first hit of the year.
Okay.
And that was unbelievable.
So that's how he introduced himself to Appalachian State and to Tiger football fans.
Yeah, him as a true freshman was unbelievable. And if NFL scouts do dig that deep and see how great he was on kickoff, he can possibly make it as a special teams player. It's just that he has to be more polished as a linebacker.
Got a halftime score for you from Nashville, 27-27. Tigers and Commodores knotted up. That's good news for LSU. We'll see what the second half can bring. The eighth and final player invited from LSU, we talk about Ryan Baker, long shot at best to be in the NFL. This guy is a cement lock. Michael Brockers, defensive end when he came to LSU, moved down closer to the football when he bulked up a little bit. This guy will play for a long time on Sundays.
And just look at him on this film. Look at how well he uses his hands. Fights off the blocker, locate the player, make the tackle. Great job right here. And look at that undersized rip move right there. Able to sack him right there to almost get a safety. And then just the ability to shed blocks is something so important at the next level. Uses his hands well. Now, this is where things can get a little technical, because in the NFL, a lot of teams run something called a 3-4, which is just 3 down linemen compared to what LSU ran, which is 4 down linemen. Alabama runs a 3 down lineman set. Michael Brockers showed playing defensive end, then coming here and having this unbelievable redshirt sophomore season. He's a fast learner. And he told me, and he's telling all the scouts right now, I can play that 3 tech, which is outside the guard, and I can play that 5 tech, which is on the outside shoulder of the tackle in between the tight end. Unlike Tyson Jackson, he hadn't been able to make that transition well for the Kansas City Chiefs. Neither has Glenn Dorsey. Michael Brockers said he could play in either system, and I believe that he's a little bit different than both those guys because of his versatility, because of his experience in the past playing both of those positions. I think Michael Brockers could be a great player. I see him going 15 or 16. Here's the team to look out for, the Seattle Seahawks. They're trying to get younger across the front. They got rid of Rocky Bernard towards the late end of that year. I think he's able to fit in well and become a perennial Pro Bowl type of player maybe 3 or 4 years down the road.
Brockers has got to weigh 60 pounds more today than the first day he stepped on LSU's campus. I remember seeing him as a true freshman, and he was a big, lanky guy, defensive end. He has filled out, and as I said, he has got the NFL body already.
And he might have more size to gain. You never know. And he runs like a deer for a defensive
Smart
tackle.
guy, too.
Yeah, he's smart, cerebral player, able to keep that outside shoulder free. And, Tommy, just a quick little demonstration. That means that you're able to make the shoulder free whenever you're locked in with the lineman. So that means that you can react either way. If they're going to come through your gap, you can get off, make a tackle. We've seen that happen with Brockers a lot. If he's going through the inside gap, he's able to push that guard in and squeeze it down to cause a lot of pileups. And you saw that in the national championship game against Trent Richardson. Trent could never really get going because Brockers and Logan were able to keep those outside shoulder frees and squeeze down the middle of the line.
So that's the 8 LSU players invited to the Combine, again in numerical order: Reuben Randall, Jordan Jefferson, Ron Brooks, Mo Claiborne, Brandon Taylor, D'Angelo Peterson, Ryan Baker, and Michael Brockers. Now, a couple of names of note that were not invited. Number one, as surprised as I was that Jordan Jefferson was invited, I was equally, if not more, surprised that Jarrett Lee was not invited. What's going on, Carter?
I actually think this is a good thing for Jarrett Lee, and I'm sorry. The measurables for him, the speed, the jumping, all that kind of stuff, there's only negatives for him to gain right there. Because let me tell you what, I don't know if he can get under a 5-flat 40. I don't know if he's going to jump even over 20 inches. He's not that type of quarterback. Getting this one-on-one tutoring, I forget this guy's name all the time, but he's mentored Ben Roethlisberger, Cam Newton, and those guys were missing the cerebral aspect of the game because both Ben Roethlisberger and Cam Newton were both great athletes, and they both knew the game well. They just didn't know it as far as the NFL mechanics are concerned. That's all Jared Lee needs to do is tune up that ability, look at some film, get a little better. I think this private tutoring out in California is going to help him out more than him going to the combine and killing himself because he can't run under a 5-flat 40, which, if you're a pocket quarterback, is basically irrelevant.
Well, Jared Lee did tell Scott Rabelais of The Advocate that he was working with the tutor that you mentioned, and he will be a part of the NFL Pro Time Day at LSU, which will be held in March. He is going to work out with some NFL guys. But I'm going to agree with you that this is probably good for Lee that he's not going to the combine because he was not going to burn up the 40-yard dash, the vertical jump, or the bench press. So maybe he can, latch on somewhere where he can develop over time. Two other names of note that were not invited, Will Blackwell. Here's a guy who has anchored that offensive line for a pretty good while. Are you surprised that Will Blackwell was not invited?
I'm more shocked that Will Blackwell didn't get invited compared to what Jared Lee didn't get invited. And I think the problem is that I wasn't there for the week of practice in the Senior Bowl. There might have been more red flags about Will Blackwell's game, but the guy tore it up during the game. I mean, he pulled well, able to kick out that 3-tech on the opposite side of the line of scrimmage. That means that he lines up on the left side of the ball, but ends up on the right side of the ball by play design. You have to have speed and athleticism. You have to be able to kick out a defensive tackle or a linebacker that stood in your way. Every time, I did not count Will Blackwell get stopped on a pulling play in that entire Senior Bowl. It does surprise me that Will Blackwell wasn't invited to this year's NFL Combine.
I think he'll have a chance to make an NFL team, maybe a practice squad guy, but he'll have a chance. Another guy, T-Bob Hebert, injuries have slowed him throughout his whole career. Maybe a little lack of height will get him in the NFL standards. I read one thing where, T-Bob, crazy as this may sound, could be a fullback in the NFL because he's got a little bit of athletic ability. He would have the weight for that, especially if he lost a little bit. But T-Bob Hebert, probably not a surprise and probably a long shot at best to stick in the NFL.
Yeah, he can possibly make a practice squad. I know NFL coaches like guys that grew up around NFL type of environments. Of course, he grew up with Bobby Hebert as his father. I think T-Bob is one of those guys that can play center, he can play guard. He came in when he needed to most, when injuries went down, and that's what all these linemen for LSU are going to have to do if they do make an NFL team, play off the bench if somebody does get injured. I see T-Bob, it's a long shot for him, but I am a believer. I am a friend of his as well. I know he's going to do whatever it takes for his ability to translate to the NFL.
So, again, the NFL Combine will take place February 22nd through the 28th in Indianapolis, annual event. They're actually talking about in the future breaking this NFL Combine up into regional efforts and having 3 or 4 of them around the country at the same time, and just local players go to the one closest to them kind of thing. There's some talk about that, but we'll see if that happens in the future. There were 4 other Louisiana football players who have been invited to a combine. Again, it's a by invite only kind of thing. Just over 300 players were invited. I'm assuming all will accept. You could have 1 or 2 turned down due to an injury, or some will go and not participate in all the drills and workouts. We've seen that in the past years as well. But first off, there were 2 players from Mark Hudspeth's ULL Raging Cajun team. Tight end Ladarius Green, big guy, got the NFL-sized tight end body, hampered a little bit by injuries on and off during the season. Again, the Cajuns went 9-4, the only Louisiana team to win a bowl game as they defeated San Diego State in the New Orleans Bowl. Ladarius Green, probably a pretty good chance to stick in the NFL. He's quite a tight end prospect who's highly regarded by the NFL, and you get a little ULL highlight clips, that winning field goal against San Diego State.
Yeah, I like Ladarius Green. I saw him play in the Senior Bowl. You look at great players from Louisiana over the past few years in the NFL. Outside of Eli Manning and Corey Webster with any Louisiana ties in the playoffs this year, a guy by the name of Ladarius Webb, a defensive back for the Baltimore Ravens, was arguably the best defensive player from Louisiana at all, and he's from Nicholls State University. So from any university from the state of Louisiana, you can make it at the next level. Ladarius Green is one of those guys that showed some impressive blocking splits in the Senior Bowl. He also ran some great routes throughout the week. I like him as a prospect better than D'Angelo Peterson.
Another ULL performer in the defensive backfield, Dwight Bentley, a very athletic guy. He will also be at the NFL Combine.
Size might be a little bit of an issue here with Bentley, but I see him as a guy that can play multiple positions. He can also play a nickel and a dime like Ron Brooks. Can he come out and compete against guys from bigger schools? If Bentley can come out and make those kind of plays, you see right here, great job bringing down the ball carrier. Once again, locating the football, doing a great job. A lot of different things for ULL he did. Let's see how he turns out at this next level.
And two other guys from the state of Louisiana, running back for Louisiana Tech. Of course, the Bulldogs won the WAC, and they played in a bowl game out in San Diego. Lennon Creer, a running back for Louisiana Tech, probably a long shot, but he'll be at the NFL Combine.
I don't see him as a long shot. I see him as making an NFL practice squad. I think Lennon Creer, great performance throughout the week at the Senior Bowl. Showed a lot of different versatility. Could catch the balls out of the backfield, can run on the outside, can run between the tackles particularly well. I compare him to a guy like Pierre Thomas. Probably not as big, probably not as physical. I think Creer has an outside shot, but I think he makes it. And look at the small school success you've seen from running back. Go from Matt Forte. It's unbelievable. I think that he can make it to the next level as an NFL running back.
Another guy, the final guy, not from LSU, who was invited to the NFL Combine. He played for the Bar Buccaneers in Lake Charles, went off to Tennessee, had some off-the-field issues and problems, was dismissed from the team. He landed with the McNeese State Cowboys in Lake Charles, his hometown. Jansen Jackson, who LSU had recruited him heavily, a defensive back, of course, listed as a McNeese product now. He will also be at the NFL Combine.
You have to ask yourself, though, what Jansen Jackson's going to show up?
Yeah.
Is it that Jansen Jackson from Tennessee that on special teams was able to go down and bring down Patrick Peterson on punt returns rather impressively in the open field? Is it that mean streak Jansen Jackson you're going to see? Or is it going to be that off-the-field trouble Jansen Jackson had a rough time, rough go at Tennessee, late decommit from LSU to go play for the Volunteers, never lived up to expectations because of his inconsistency. He has the athletic ability. He has the size. He has the strength. He could play free or strong safety at a high level. He has all that. But does he have it here? Can he keep it together? I think Jansen Jackson's one of those kind of guys that can be a 5 or 6 year NFL pro if he's able to keep it together up here.
And wasn't he the guy 2 years ago when LSU played Tennessee in Baton Rouge, the clock game at the end, but earlier in that game when Jefferson had the long touchdown run up the middle, wasn't he the guy that came up and went the wrong way?
Yeah, I mean, he can get confused at times as well. And
him and Jefferson, they confused each other. Jefferson got like the 80-yard touchdown.
And that's going to be tough at the next level. I mean, NFL quarterbacks, this is the biggest thing. And watching college football tape at the quarterback position, NFL quarterbacks lick off safeties. They don't do that in the college. No college quarterback really does that except for Matt Barkley, Andrew Luck. You don't really see that much. Can Jansen Jackson learn the game at that next level and be that kind of guy? Playing at a small school, going from a big school, which Tennessee produced Eric Berry. They have talent. They have the ability. They had the coaching to take Jansen Jackson to the next level. I think he took a step back not being at Tennessee these last couple of years. Let's see if he can gain that cerebral capacity and become that next level safety that we in Louisiana know he can be.
Once again, the 8 LSU players going to the Combine: Reuben Randall, Jordan Jefferson, Ryan Brooks, Mo Claiborne, Brandon Taylor, D'Angelo Peterson, Ryan Baker, and Michael Brockers. 4 other Louisiana guys from ULL: Ladarius Green and Dwight Bentley. From Louisiana Tech, Lennon Creer, and from McNeese, Jansen Jackson. Carter, as we mentioned, there were 53 players from the SEC on the invitee list, 9 Alabama Crimson Tide players, and there's nobody in the country who can honestly say Southeastern Conference is not the best conference in college football, top to bottom, and no surprise to see 53 players from the SEC, and 17 of those, but right at a third of them, coming from LSU and Alabama.
Yeah, and Alabama has just a long list of players. They have about 3 or 4 guys that are going to go in the first round. Trent Richardson, of course, we all know who he is. Drake Kirkpatrick, the cornerback that Tyrann Mathieu famously karate chopped on the punt return. I think the best player out of this bunch, a guy that's going to have the longest NFL career out of all of them, is Courtney Upshaw. That guy knows the game of football, He was able to make the adjustments against Jordan Jefferson in the option. They kept his pass rushing lanes. That's why they were so much more successful against Jordan Jefferson in the national championship game, because he wasn't able to make the fluke plays. And that's because Nick Saban, Courtney Upshaw, and the rest of the defense played disciplined football. And I was speaking earlier about keeping your outside shoulder free while collapsing the pocket. I don't know if I've ever seen a college player do it as well as Courtney Upshaw. That's because he's one of these medium types. He's not the strongest guy. He's not the fastest guy, but he's the best smash in between middle of both that I believe is enough for him to be an NFL player for about 10 years, probably make 2 or 3 Pro Bowls. I think he's one of those 3-4 outside linebacker guys that is really going to make a name for himself for a long time in the National Football League.
Once again, we want to remind you about Pelican Sports Radio, heard Monday through Fridays from 3 until 4 p.m. That's Monday through Friday, 3 to 4 o'clock on 1590 a.m. That's KKAY, 1590 a.m. on your radio dial. It's available on the internet at kkay1590.com. The global radio, kkay.com. There's a free app for your smartphone called TuneIn Radio. You see the little logo on your screen there, KKAY 1590 AM. And starting this Friday, February 10, Carter Bryant on Fridays and Tuesdays will co-host Pelican Sports Radio. He's ready to mix it up. Your phone calls are always welcome at Pelican Sports Radio on 1590 AM. Carter, I know you're excited.
I can't wait, and we're going to also go into a little bit more of these SEC players. We don't have enough time to do it here because we have to go into basketball. There's a lot of players that make me smile, make me proud that they're going to represent our conference at the next level.
All right, when we come back, we've got another hour of Tigers Roar. We'll speak to Brian Lazar of TigerBait.com, get the very latest on recruiting. 5 commitments already in the 2013 LSU football signing class. You can't sit around. You got to keep recruiting. It's a year-round thing for LSU and for all schools throughout Louisiana and obviously throughout the country. So we've got another hour, including Brian Lazar of TigerBait.com when we return. We got a special treat for you tonight as we roll into this next break. A member of the Louisiana Music Hall of Fame, Debbie Traylor, going to sing to you for a minute before this next pause.
It's a male